Welcome, everyone. Friday night draft time. We got the Rotowire Online Championship, the NFFC. It's the place to be. We're going to be drafting tonight. Got 12 great teams going at it tonight for a shot at the $250,000 prize. Go over a little few particulars for you as we get ready for this draft. First of all, I will be picking in the 7th spot. And as Henry asked earlier about, we have the KDS scoring in the NFC, the draft position. You set your choices for draft positions. And I have been targeting anywhere in the 4 through 8 range. That's where I've liked. This is a third rounder. I'll go over the particulars for those who are not used to the NFFC. So first of all, it's 12 teams, 20 rounds. This is not best ball. It is a managed league. So there'll be fab. Everybody will have the same fab budget. I think it's 1,000 top of my head. It's always the same number, but that's irrelevant what it actually is. All percentages anyway. But anyway, so managed league, so important. And we will have 6 points per passing touchdown. So the passing quarterbacks do get an edge here. And it's every 0.05 passing yards, you get a point for a yard. I'm sorry, can't get that right. You get 0.05 points per passing yard. So the quarterbacks are a bit elevated here. You got Jody in the house. Jody's drafted next to me. Very excited for that, Jody. Now, let me know which side you're on later in the draft. You don't want people to know who you are when you're drafting. If you do, let me know and remind me often, because this will be fast and furious going through this draft as we go. But so what else you need? A third round reversal. Very, very important to understand that. So you do the first 2 rounds, snake at the end, the 2.12. Then you go back to the 12 team and you pick. So you switch into third round if you're not used to that. That's a little bit of a difference that I like about this. So there's a lot of strategy when you set, we call your Kentucky Derby style, your KDS, where you assign your draft position. And, one thing I really do like here, we got about 2.5 minutes till draft starts, is I love how the NFFC has their own ADP. And it's accessible to anybody, whether you're playing in it or not. You can go to the site. You can set how much time. Last week is normally more than enough because there are always drafts going on here, and you want to be in this Rotowire Online Championship. It's great. I call it challenges, championship, online championship. So anyway, you set that draft order, and then when the draft order rolls, if you were, let's say you drew the 1 pick, well, that means you would get the number 1 in your KDS. And as I said earlier, this year, I just like the way the drafts are falling if I'm somewhere in that 4 to 8 range. So I always set my KDS. I scramble them up a little bit. I did put the 7th pick first here. No, I don't think anybody wants a 7th pick, so I think it was no problem getting it. There are advantages to every part of the draft, and it really depends what you like, too. When you study the ADP, and again, ADP is a guide. It lets you know what the market value is. I have my own player rankings, but it's important to know in the micro trends, am I a half a round ahead on a guy? Am I a round ahead? Am I a half a round behind? Is it a player I want to reach for? Is it a player I want to see if it falls to me? All these things factor in. But when you look at the entire draft board on average in these drafts, because this is a sharp group of drafters we have. And so, I'm competing against really good, talented fantasy players. So I want to know what the micro market is. And so using the ADP on the NFFC site is excellent. Now, this is important too. I'll be hosting another one of these drafts 2 weeks from tonight. If you've never played an NFFC, they're $350 leagues. If you want to be your first time drafting ever and you want to get $100 off, man, Greg and Tom at the NFFC, they came up with a sweetheart deal. If you use the code FIRSTTIME100, it's one word, FIRSTTIME100, and you do that, you get $100 off your first NFFC championship team. And like I said, I posted them. I just tweeted out mine. And for 2 weeks from tonight, if you want to draft against me and you can get $100 off, it's your first draft ever with NFFC, you can take advantage of that code. All right, we're about 25 seconds from go time here. Remember, some reminders here. Oh, and I got some sounds on here. Maybe I'll turn those off. Let's see what you guys want here. Oh, draft starter. Jamar Chase is off the board, the number 1, as expected. Bijan Robinson, number 2. Again, 6 points for passing touchdown. I'm drafting 7th. This is start a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, flex, defense, and team kicker. CD Lamb goes 3rd. Remember, 3rd round reversal. This is not best ball. It's a managed league. Top 2 teams in each 12-team league make the grand prize tournament for the $250,000. A third team like me last year can make the tournament as a wild card based on your points scored. So anyway, NFFC, this is just where it is at. We are on getting into the fourth pick now. 2 receivers off the board in the first 3 picks. A good idea where I want to go with this. Every draft you kind of want to see where the board's falling, but I've had some certain strategy I've been following. 24 seconds on the clock for team 4. If everybody's here today, we got quite a few people here. So excited to spend Friday night with you. Great place to hang out. Let's have some fun here. If you got comments in the chat, I can do some multitasking here. I should be able to get over and handle that as well. Another beautiful thing, and most companies do this, but the NFFC, I really like how you could, set up your whole draft order ahead of time. Team 4 timed out, but hopefully Gibbs is at the top of their roster. So hopefully they got the player they wanted. Justin Jefferson. So we got that little, I'm on deck. So we've got that little thing going with receiver, running back, receiver, running back, receiver. Randy's here. Welcome, Randy. And Saquon Barkley goes. So my choices are, you know what? I'm going to differentiate. This is a player I don't have on any of my teams yet. And I think it might be a nice time to take this player. So I am going to click go and I'll explain this pick to you here. Man, do I want to switch on it? I really want to switch it. I don't want to switch on it. All right. So I don't have any Ashton Genty shares yet. I have most of the big 5 running backs on different rosters. I draft a lot of teams, and I kind of felt like it was time to give a shot to Genty. I was if Barkley would have fell, I would have taken him. And since McCaffrey, when I took McCaffrey, the last one of these drafts I was in at 6, and I didn't want to do 2 tickets on McCaffrey. I like McCaffrey in these big tournament leagues because you want to take that tournament down. McCaffrey is and again, in his 4 full seasons, he's been the running back 1 or the running back 2, and that resume belongs to nobody but Christian McCaffrey because obviously there's no more LaDainian Tomlinson around. So so McCaffrey is the great pick there. I went with Genty though. I just want to see them. Opportunity of the 3 down back. I know they talk about Mostert, whatever, 33 years old. It's going to be Genty. He's playing under Pete Carroll and a little bit of Chip Kelly. Yeah, I think he'll be pretty heavily involved. If they're trailing, he'll probably catch a good deal of passes. So that should be fine there. Nico Collins goes end of the first round, pick 11. 5th receiver of the first round. Big dog Derrick Henry at 12. Love Derrick Henry there. So anyway, got a nice balance in the first round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 5. And then Brock Bowers, tight end premium. 1.5 per tight end reception. Need to point that out as well. No, we are tight end premium, correct? Help me out in the chat with that one. I'm playing in all these leagues right now. My brain is kind of scrambled on me here. Trey McBride, yeah. So there we go. McBride and Bowers go to the first 2 picks in the beginning of the second round. So good there. And all right, now, so we got some early builds we're going to look at here. Team 11 and 12 12 goes running back tight end. 11 goes wide receiver tight end. And now we'll begin to see how the rest of the round goes. It's unlikely we see a tight end not go for a little while. Puka Nacua off the board as the 6th wide receiver taken. Yeah, fun draft so far. I like this. Great start to this one. Brian Thomas Jr. paired with Christian McCaffrey. And Amon-Ra St. Brown. All right, so now I want to see what I really want to do here. I know what I do in every draft. I'm gonna switch things up a little bit here. I am going to go with a player I don't have enough shares. I've talked him up all off season, and I just haven't liked where it's gone. But I am going to give myself finally my first share in a while of Drake London. I was talking last 6 games, he averaged 11.3 targets, 93 yards. But in the last 3 games of Penix, and I know that one crazy game was in there, he averaged 13 targets and $117. It was a fun start. Genty and London. I like this. It's a little different for me. A lot of my teams have had running back. I just like London going in the middle of that round. It's about where his ADP is, maybe a couple picks later, not much, if any. Well, let's see. We got some comments here. Got Steve D'Angelo in the house. Appreciate you being here, Steve. Chad TV. Gotten really lucky that the RB train has been so aggressive that Bauer's been slipping to the second. Yeah, absolutely. All right. AJ Brown goes to Saquon Barkley. So team 6 pairs up a couple of Philly Eagles. Justin Jefferson paired up with Jonathan Taylor. So far we have a lot of running back receiver teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. CD Lamb and Garrett Wilson. Nice wide receiver duo for team 3 to kick that off. Very, very strong. Garrett Wilson between 147 and 168 targets in each year. Chase Brown going, his ADP has been going up, up, up. Very strong there. It's weird. I was kind of surprised that it seems like his ADP went up after the Zach Moss news. I guess in reality, if Moss was healthy, he was going to take 6 or 7 carries. And I don't know if the other guys in the roster are going to do that. So maybe there was a little bit of a micro change. I had kind of not viewed him, Zach Moss, as even a factor before, but there it is. Tyreek Hill to Jamar Chase. And then the third round reversal. Here we go here. Lamar Jackson coming in the deals. We got Derrick Henry. Oh, I love the pairing of Henry and Lamar. I was talking about that on a show. I think maybe an XM. I was talking about that on a show a couple days ago. Just very excited how we got Henry, Bowers, and Jay. You got that Jackson Henry pairing. Love it. Steve, I'll be doing one of these in 2 weeks. And so, sign up. I already posted the link on my Twitter, and I'll move that to pinned after this one's over. Marvin Harrison to Team 11, giving him Collins and Harrison with a Trey McBride tight end. I love how the Cardinals offense is focused around Trey McBride. All right, I'm going to be on deck here. T. Higgins off the board, and now we're coming up to this point in the draft where we have, let me see, so we got a team with wide receiver. We got Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Allen off the board. I really want, let's see. I'm really going to feel like I'm going to make this a different draft than usual. I know where this pick would normally go for me. There's another option I like here quite a great deal. Think it. You know what? I am going to go back to my old reliable running back call here. I'm between two of them here. You know what? I think that Genty and London are good floor plays. I'm going to try to swing for the fence a little bit here. I'm going to take, instead of Josh Jacobs, who I ranked higher, I'm going to take Breece Hall instead. You've heard me say, if you listen to me, that interview with Breece Hall where he said he played through a sprained MCL last year. I believe it. Because there's no other way to explain. And Smith and Jigbo is a player I was conflicted with because I liked him falling there. But and then Josh Jacobs, of course, goes there. I have Jacobs ahead of Hall on my board. But I think with the build I'm starting with, I think I want that player where I'm swinging for the fence. At some point, you have to do that. You're playing in not just a 12-team league, but you're playing in a tournament as well. And you've got to have some throws there. My throw was McCaffrey in the last one, and that was my throw. And the other picks were a little safer than that. But you got to mix it up, right? Because you got to make sure you got enough points to make the dance. But then you got to get a couple of those players to see if you can, work with that. And Chad, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, we could find a floor running back there. You're right. We definitely could do that. So you got Chad also mentioned in what is around where the floor is strong enough for Cup. To curious. So you know what? And I will always talk about a player after they're drafted, just in case. I mean, on the long shot that somebody who's drafting is listening, and maybe it's gamesmanship considered if you mentioned somebody who they were thinking about. But I promise you, I will mention it. If you need to repost a question, definitely let me know, and when it comes up, and I'll make sure I attend to that for sure. And Chad, you also mentioned you've gotten really lucky. The running back train has been aggressive. But yeah, you said that earlier. Right. Very good. Oh yeah, that's right, Henry. So not tight end. Yeah, thank you, Henry. Appreciate that. Yeah, I get so many leagues these days. I just get caught up in the crossfire things. So yeah, one PPR for tight end. Absolutely. Thank you for fixing me. And I was hoping somebody would come to my rescue on that, and you did. Appreciate you, Henry. I'm doing like sometimes 3-4 drafts a day right now, and it's just piling up. Oh, I like team 3 here. You got the triple stack: CD Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, and then team 2. This is what different players, but this is the build I went with in my last. I went with I went with 3 running backs early. Bijan Robinson here, Chase Brown, and Omarion Hampton. Very good trio of running backs. You've heard if you've listened to me at all, you've heard me talk about NFL offensive coaches are realizing the defense are giving you the run. They're putting in 2 linebackers. Linebackers are lighter than ever. They're like about 230 pounds. They're going. The base defense is the 4-2-5, the 5 defensive backs, and teams are running. And I don't think the running backs aren't taking the abuse they were. And that's why I'm not worried about Barkley after all those touches. It's not that NFL that you were getting beaten to shreds on your 380, 400 carries, whatever. Not the same game. All right, back to team 1. So team 1, I wonder if team one was wondering if Chase Brown would follow them at the 1-2 turn. Win a pick early, come back with Joe Burrow. I see a lot of the Chase Brown Burrow stacks. But what we're getting recently in the last few days, I noticed Chase Brown is going earlier than that two pick. So Chase Brown's a little bit sooner. And so now that makes it more difficult to get that triple stack off on those players. Find that interesting. All right, looking through here, let's see what else I want to make any announcement wise. Those who listen to the Sirius XM show, our Saturday show on Rotowire is preempted. There's going to be live draft coverage. Sunday, I'll be on with Alan Soslowski 2 to 4. Fantasy Football Expo next weekend. So Saturday, be drafting at the Kings Classic. That draft will be live on XM Channel 87. Back to the draft here. So I'm on deck here. All right, let's see what we got going here. All right, nothing there. Not like that. And all right. And then I'll talk through some of the draft spots here in a moment. Got 40 seconds. Got team 6 on the board. Jalen Hurts. You got the triple stack there. I'll talk about my draft picker as we go. So right now I have Ashton Genty, Breece Hall, and Drake London. Where I like the value here. All right. I got the thing crossed up a little bit. I got 2 different timers going on. All right. So I'm going to go I'm going to go with my favorite player on the board. I'm going to go with DJ Moore. I have him in almost every draft I'm in. Oh, draft is paused? Did I screw something up? Let me see if I screwed something up here. I think we're showing draft is paused. I wonder what's going on here. Oh, change coming at 4-3. All right. So we got a change coming here. All right. All right. Kenneth Walker was subbed in at the 4-3. And so who was taken off the board? All right. So I am going to make that DJ Moore pick here. There's another player on the board. Oh, draft's pause. Am I screwing something up here? You are up. All right. So, all right. Clock's moving. All right. I think I got that pick made. You guys who listen to me know my stance on DJ Moore. It's that he averages 1,100 yards a season. Last year was a disaster. He was the wide receiver 14. And he was a wide receiver 6 2 years ago at Justin Fields. He's never had a good quarterback. Maybe Caleb Williams isn't, but I'm willing to bet right now that we're going to have an opportunity with the offensive line and with Ben Johnson that things are going to work out well. Rashee Rice goes off the board near the end of the 4th round. He was in consideration with DJ Moore, but again, just not knowing what they're going to do discipline-wise. You got to make the tournament to qualify for the 250. So I just wanted to be safer with DJ Moore there. Xavier Worthy goes a couple picks after Rashee Rice. A little George Pickens action there as well. So far through 4 rounds, we have team 1 has 3 receivers, team 3 has 3 receivers, and then team 11 has 3 receivers. There's 3 teams that are receiver heavy. In terms of running back heavy, we have 1 team that went with 3, and that's team 2. And then the teams of 2 running backs, team 4 and 5, and then 7 is me. And there's only 4 teams went 2 running backs through that round. So every draft, as you see, is like they're like snowflakes. They all have their own different little flavor to them. So very nice the way this draft is like a little bit unique. We've seen more running back builds, and I like the fact there's a receiver heavy build here. All right, so we are in the 5th round, and we have George Kittle is off the board, so Kittle's at 3rd tight end. I said there'd be a break with tight ends, and that's pretty typical. Alvin Kamara off the board, Jalen Waddle right before that. Team 12, you've got the Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson pairing. You got Brock Bowers at tight end, and then you followed up with Xavier Worthy and Jameson Williams. So a little bit that's some speed at the wide receiver position. And team 10, triple receiver stack of Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, and Jalen Waddle to go at Devon Achane and Bucky Irving. Very nice, solid core there. Team 11 is going 0 running back, 2 tight ends, McBride and Kittle, with Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison, and George Pickens at receiver. Going some big-bodied receivers there. Travion Henderson off the board. And this is the player I was hoping would fall to me. And I know ADP would say somebody else, but you know what? Can't get me enough of some James Conner. So James Conner, my running back 3, my flex. Conner played 16 games, came out early in another game or 2 last year, misses 1 to 3 games every year. But the beauty of Conner was this, that Kyler Murray threw 23% of his passes to running backs last year. It was a nice change for him in the offense. Conner caught 47 passes, thought that was pretty insane. And the other thing is he had his 2 highest yards per carry the last 2 years. The Cardinals became a 2 tight end base offense in week 5, and that's when Conner really picked things up. He was actually playing his best football before he got injured at the end of the fantasy playoffs. So that was interesting there. Those were worried about his workload. They paid him last year. They re-signed him. And I always say he's one of those players, he's the heart and soul of the offense. And he's a player that can't really take off the field a whole lot because he is their heart and soul. And it sounds stupid to say that, but it's a real thing. Zay Flowers off the board to go with A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. And then that's the team 6 that has that real nice Philly triple of Hurts, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley. Devontae Smith goes to team 5. I did see a team go with all 4 Eagles. I think, in my opinion, for what it's worth, I think team 6 made a smart choice of not going with another Eagle here. I think that's too early of an investment for 4, but the 3 is beautiful. Calvin Ridley, receiver I really like this year. 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons, bad quarterback play, bad offensive line. I think that line in Tennessee is going to be better. They brought in Zeitler at guard. They brought in, left tackle from Pittsburgh. Now, I say his name like 3 times a week. Anyway, he's a decent left tackle. Can't think of his name. I'm sorry, Dan Moore. And I think last year they had brought in center Lloyd Cushenberry. He had a little down year, but he's a real talented player. And those 2 young guys, they drafted Skoronski and J.C. Latham. They're still growing. So that line could be good. And so back to Calvin Ridley here. And maybe I think Cam Ward may not be Superman, but I think he's an upgrade over what Ridley's had. So I think Ridley, that 1,000-yard season he had, I think that's kind of his floor. And as a wide receiver 4 for team 3 to go with Lamb, Wilson, Adams, and Ridley, yeah, you could sign up for that all day long. Tet McMillan goes to team 2. So team 2 started out with Bijan Robinson, Chase Brown, O'Marion Hampton, came back with a pair of receivers, make it 3 now. DK Metcalf, Tet McMillan, and Rome Odunze. Like the upside of Odunze for sure. I think that's the top 10 pick in the NFL draft last year. I think we could see some really, really good things out of him this year. Very, very exciting potential in Ben Johnson's offense. Odunze with the X receiver. Doesn't mean he's the alpha automatic. I still think DJ Moore is the alpha, but I think Odunze is going to see a lot of work, and I think he's going to have that great breakout season. RJ Harvey goes to team 1, and we just heard news today. It broke. Sean Payton was earlier talking Evan Ingram in that Joker role, but then Sean Payton kind of doubled back and said RJ Harvey could be in that Joker role. Because remember, the Joker role wasn't just Taysom Hill. It was Darren Sproles. It was, Reggie Bush. And so, yeah, I think RJ Harvey could fit a little bit of a role like that. Remember, multiple running backs and multiple players can be successful in a Sean Payton offense. And team 1 also, they had gone 4 picks without a running back, come back with DeAndre Swift and RJ Harvey. And I like the balance there. You know you're getting the volume out of Harvey. There's no out of Swift. I'm sorry. Swift's going to get that volume. And Harvey is the player. He's got some risk, but it's a good risk. Sam Laporte is off the board. I am on deck. All right. Let's see what we got going here. Like that. All right, getting ready for this draft pick here. We are in the 6th round of the NFFC. Stephon Diggs off the board. So yeah, clear off the board. Okay, so so far I have Genty, Hall, and James Conner. I have Drake London and DJ Moore. I want to pile up a good floor play here that I believe has some ceiling as well. I am going to take Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy had over 1,200 yards last year, and a lot of people said it was just Jameis Winston, and I disagree with that. I remember the one game with Dorian Thompson-Robinson was horrible, but then Thompson-Robinson had another game with Jeudy in weather elements, and Jeudy went off in that game. Jeudy was getting over 10 targets a game in the second half of the season, and it wasn't just Joe Flacco. I mean, and he drops the ball. Jerry Jeudy's not a perfect player. He has a lot of flaws, but he can run after the catch, and he really showed last year that he really grew into his role, that, he is going to be a player to get targets. And I think that Cleveland defense is going to give up some points. They lost Martin Emerson, their corner, for the season. The other corners are good, but they've been not the last 3 years. They've all slid in their coverage. They used to be like elite, and they're good, but they're not great. And of course, they got Myles Garrett. But I think that defense will give up points. So I think Cleveland's going to throw. David Montgomery off the board. That's a good late value on Monty. Monty going 6'8", and then Chris Olave following that up. And Chad says if they get anything out of the running game, Judy will be fine. Yeah, let's hope. Right? Oh my gosh, I don't know what they're going to do there. Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson right out because I don't have any idea what's going on with Quinshon Judkins. Mecca Abuka off the board. I just did a video today. It won't get released for a while. The editing team has it, but I said Abuka could really work into something. I mean, it depends. You got an older Mike Evans, you got Godwin coming off an injury, and Ibuka is really showing it already. And, who knows? The sky could be the limit for the young man. And, Tampa will get that left tackle Wirfs back before long if he misses time at all. And, let's go back to the Team 12. So Team 12 starts out Henry, Lamar Jackson, and Brock Bowers in the middle. Comes back 4 receivers: Xavier Worthy, J-Mo, Jordan Addison, and Jacoby Myers. Love adding Myers in there. Is that Myers really could be in a great spot again this year? Because remember all those targets he had in the second half of the season? He might be back to that again. Geno Smith, upgrade a quarterback. Caleb Johnson, Team 11 waits until the 7th round to go running back, and then they get a good one there. Caleb Johnson should at least have that Najee Harris role that Pittsburgh had used the last few years. But there's an opportunity for more. Jalen Warren. Well, I won't talk about Jalen Warren too much now because he's still on the board, so I'll wait on that one. All right, TJ Hawkinson off the board after Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco as a number 3 running back. Love that. I'm downgraded because he looked bad after injury. He broke his leg. He was not going to be healthy last year. That leg probably atrophied off a bit. That was a nasty injury to come back from. All right, let's see what we got here. I'm going to take a quick look at the board here. Right there. All right. Team 8 is on the board. We went 3 running backs recently: James Cook, Travion Henderson, and David Montgomery, to go with Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Josh Allen. Khalil Shakir is on the board today. Shakir injured his ankle. Hopefully it's not significant. Now, this is where I want to play the board a little bit. On ADP, this will not be a good pick, but I know between round 7 and round 8, being in the middle of the round, there can be a bit of a run, and I don't want to get caught on the other end of that. So a player that I am targeting in many of my drafts has been one Dak Prescott. Look, in his 3 healthy seasons, 2019, 2021, 2023, he's been the quarterback 2, the quarterback 3, and the quarterback 7. Bringing Pickens in, I don't think the running game will sustain. I think you get Lee CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson. I really believe that Prescott's going to be in position to throw the ball quite a bit this year. Love Pickens, love Lamb. I think those 2 are going to be real catalysts in Dallas. I didn't pair them up at all or get any stacking going on, and they signed Lyle Collins. They sure did. Oh man, what goes around comes around, right? Remember that he didn't get drafted, and then Dallas, I think I was on UDFA, I think, or something like that. Can't remember what the story was, but that was crazy. Chris Godwin, the slide continues, but finally comes off the board at the 708 after Travis Hunter. There's been a little news that the uncertainty of Godwin, although today's news was he was moving around. Well, they just won't put a timetable on him. But here's the interesting point. Emeka Egbuka goes at the 610, and Godwin goes at the 7. It's about 708, because it's going backwards. I'm trying to think of what number, but by 708. So that is a market shift, right? Based on news. And that's what this fantasy football is all about. Micro trends and looking at the news. Ricky Pearsall, again, he's a player that's going to be sitting in this draft zone, and it'd be a very popular pick because Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, unhappy with his contract, re-aggravates a hamstring injury. Brandon Ayuk, just talked to Dr. David Chow the other night on the High Stakes Fantasy Hour, the NFFC, that I do with Tom Kesenick, and David Chow really is under the impression that we are not going to see a healthy, if at all, Brandon Ayuk till the second half of the season. So risk reward pick, but Ricky Pearsall could just be in line for a lot of targets. I think George Kittle's going to get an uptick. Of course, McCaffrey's going to get all the work that he can handle. So that's it there. But Tony Pollard goes, very, very good number 3 running back for Team 3. So Team 3 goes CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams. Then they come back, Kenneth Walker, 4th receiver Ridley, Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard. Waited on running back and put together a very, very solid running back room. And then Team 2, love that. 3 running backs and then 4 receivers. And Juwan Jennings is a number 4. Yeah, that's good place to draft him, because if that calf thing's an issue, you're not counting on him until, he gets healthy. Cooper Kupp goes in the end of the 7th. And it's interesting with Kupp because, my opinion, it'll always be wrong, right? But Kupp can block his tail off. And in the offense they're going to be running, they need that blocking wide receiver. But as a receiver, Kupp was really phased out by Sean McVay in the latter part of last season. And there didn't seem to be an injury issue. So I really don't know what to expect here. The talk is that Kupp will play the slot, and that would bump JSN outside. I don't know how that works. Kupp could block from any wide receiver position, but we'll see what he has left. But it'll be interesting to see what Cooper Kupp has. But 7th round is a 4th receiver for Team 1. Team 1 is banking on Cooper Kupp being a factor, and who am I to say he will not be? So there we have it. We are in the 7-8 turn right now. 9 seconds on the clock. Travis Kelce off the board. So Team 1, Chase, Tyreek Hill, Cortland Sutton, Joe Burrow, and then the DeAndre Swift, RJ Harvey backfield, Cooper Kupp, and then Travis Kelce in the 8th round. All right. We're coming through here. Some real nice roster builds. You'll see that Team 12, which went with 4 straight receivers recently. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, Chad. And Chad, I think that normally around wide receiver 50 is normally where Cooper Kupp is frequently going. So, yeah, I think you're getting him around that pick 101. That's typically where I'm seeing him go in a lot of these drafts. Jordan Mason is a running back 4. That's a real nice one in the 8th round for Team 2. Let me just take a look at my look-ahead board and see where I want to go with this. Okay, I kind of have an idea where I'd like to go. All right.
You are on deck.
I'm on deck. All right. Baker Mayfield off the board. So there was not a quarterback run that I thought could have happened, but that's fine. I'm very happy with Prescott. Don't mind taking that chance. Not an issue at all. All right, let's take a quick look here. I'm going to be up here in a second.
You
Just double checking the board to see there's nothing that I miss. And at this point, I do want to take a tight end. And I really hope that Joe Flacco's a starter, because I remember when David Njoku were the last 5 weeks, including a playoff game 2 years ago, was the overall tight end 1. Njoku gets hurt a bit, but, at this point, Andrews off the board, Ingram's off the board, Kelce. It's probably exactly the right time to have taken him. Matthew Golden's off the board to go with Joe Mixon. Obviously, Mixon's dropped because of the foot injury. They'll be reevaluating at the end of camp, but Team 8 takes the discount as Mixon falls into the 8th round. Cam Scadaboo goes after Josh Downs. Josh Downs is a wide receiver 5 for Team 10. I say Josh Downs is quarterback proof. Love Josh Downs. He can win downfield from the slot. He can win on the in-breakers starting from the slot, in-breaking across the middle of the field. Very quarterback proof young man. Even as a slot, he plays about 76% of the time. So Josh Downs, I cannot get enough of Josh Downs. All right. So we have at the turn, Brian Robinson and Jaden Reed giving the second running back to Team 12. So Team 12 clearly went hero running back approach. Derrick Henry, Brian Robinson. Kyler Murray is the quarterback 1 for Team 11, paired with Marvin Harrison, and so stacked with Trey McBride. Got the 3-player stack. Very well done, Team 11. Jaden Higgins goes off to Team 10. So now they have 6 receivers, 3 running backs. So they are waiting on the onesie positions. Travis Etienne goes off the board. Let me look at my roster and see where Tyler Warren goes. All right, let's see here. I will take a quick look here. Not overly 1, 2, 3. We are in the 9th round. Nobody I want there. I got a few seconds to think exactly what I want to do with this one. There and there. And we are in the 9th round. All right, I think what I'm going to do here is I could wait on that too. You know what? I am going to take this. It's a little bit early, though. All right, I'm going to take Justin Fields. I'm going to take my second quarterback here. It's early, but as much as I love Prescott, He's been hurt in 2 of the last 5 years, got an injury risk there. Fields another injury risk. Put those two together. So I think I've got myself covered with a quarterback one, assuming one of them is on the field at a time. I'll back it up that way. A little bit early, but I'm comfortable with that. I'm very comfortable with that right now. Zach Charbonnet goes to Team 6. So the backfield in Team 6, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Warren, and Zach Charbonnet. So with a hero running back approach for Team 6 as well. They're looking to cobble together that a strong running back two out of a number of players, which is the way to play that. Bo Nix goes off the board to Team 3 as their quarterback one. Michael Pittman went off the board to Team 4, and Pittman is the wide receiver 4 to go with Pearsall, Mike Evans, and Ladd McConkey. Let's see here. The Tyrone Tracy pick went Keon Coleman. Coleman was a player I was considering in my last pick when I took Justin Fields. Again, I just feel like the need, like I said, it's kind of weird to be in on Prescott, but to say I need a second quarterback, but that's just the way I feel about it. And if he goes down, I'm playing in a tournament. And this is the point I want to make. You're playing in a tournament. And if I got to go streaming from the bottom of the barrel and I'm trying to win a tournament, it's probably not going to happen. So it's interesting. Javonte Williams off the board as a running back 3 to Team 1. Chad points out that Kyler Murray isn't a top 5 quarterback this year. I think the community will finally join you in ignoring him. Christian Kirk goes in the 10th round. Solid pick there as a number 5 receiver for Team 1. So, yeah, Kyler Murray ran for like 500 yards this year. It was a healthy season for him. He ran for a lot, but the passing numbers are really, really tough. And he had that the passing perspective, the second half slide again, and the second half schedule doesn't look great. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Kyler Murray. But it is a real. You're right, Chad. If he doesn't have a really good year this year, I think finally the fantasy community will kind of be a little bit off because we always draft him aggressively, and he never seems to quite make. And I was in on him. And I took him last year, and it wasn't horrible, but it certainly didn't help me win. It wasn't like a winning pick. So there definitely was that. All right, we are in the 10th round, and let's just make J.K. Dobbins. Love that pick in the 10th round. At this point, running back in that Sean Payton offense. Second, Marvin Mims. All right, you're watching the NFFC Rotowire Online Championship, 250,000 grand prize, full PPR. 6 points per passing touchdown. We started a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end, flex, defense, and a kicker. This was 3rd round reversal. This is fab. This is not a best ball league. It's a full managed league. And let me get my pick ready here, and then I will decide what to do from here. I'm looking at my roster real quick. Not excited there. Not excited there. Yeah, okay. Tyjae Spears off the board. Yeah, and I'm double up on my onesie positions here. I went Prescott Fields in 7-9, Njoku, and now I'm going to go Ferguson. Njoku gets hurt a lot, and like to have Jake Ferguson in there too. So now I don't have to dress this position too much. I can both quarterback and tight end. I don't have to go to the third one now. I can just focus on other positions the rest of the way. I'm fine with that. Chad, Kyler is improved, but he's basically Sam Darnold without the picks. One thing, Kyler is one of the least efficient downfield passers. That's something because earlier we remember that Hail Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. We all remember that play. It's ingrained in our minds, and we think of him as this great downfield passer, but he's not. He's very inefficient. And the problem last year in Arizona was they were running Harrison 25.6% of the routes were the straight line downfield vertical go routes, and Murray was like terrible at them, and so they hurt both of them. Luther Burden off the board. Chicago Bears. Tank Bigsby. Etienne and Bigsby, putting them together is kind of a nice move by Team 9 because one of them will merge. Caleb Williams off the board as the quarterback 1 to Team 10. Rashid Shaheed goes to Team 11 as the 5th receiver. Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison, George Pickens, Deebo Samuel, and Rashid Shaheed. What did I do here? Oh, to bring yeah, the hail. Oh my gosh, you were a Bills fan. Yeah. You know what? It's funny till you said that. I didn't even remember the opponent. I just remember just DeAndre Hopkins and that play, and that was just yeah, it's a tough one. Maybe you felt better. Ray Davis off the board, little Ray Davis, and Trey Benson. So yeah, so team 12. Look at the strategy. So you go Derrick Henry in the first round, Brian Robinson as your running back 2 in the 8th, but then you come back with a couple of backups because again, the strategy of taking other people's backups is if the starter for the other team goes down, you ought to all of a sudden have a potential starter in the lineup. It's just a great slick move that a lot of people use. Very, very useful. All right, let's see what I want to do here. It's
You are on deck.
all right, let's see here. On deck. All right, this is the 11th round. I think I know where I would like to go with this pick. We'll see if the player is available. All right, so Darnell Mooney just went off the board. Mooney missing much of the preseason with a shoulder injury. Hopefully, he's fine for the season. It was interesting with Mooney. We were all in on Mooney last year, and Mooney really helped our teams. And he was getting 7.5 targets a game till about week 10, and then the last 6 games he fell to 5 targets per game. That whole offense became about Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and it kind of dried up for everybody else. 8 seconds on the clock for Team 8. If you're there, you got to get something in here quick. And Jadon Blue is very quick. All right. I'll probably regret putting 2 Cleveland Browns. That's usually never an optimal circumstance, but I do believe if I need a receiver, I do think Cedric Tillman is going to have an opportunity to have a decent year. If this team has to throw, especially, look, they have a tough schedule, and they're going to trail a lot of games. And again, I don't know what the quarterback position is going to look like, and I hope it's Flacco for a while. But if it is Flacco, again, this is my wide receiver 5 or 4. I'm sorry, my 4. But I do like Tillman. And I do think there are weeks where both he and Judy can be useful. So, but Tillman's my highest ranked receiver by far on my remaining board. So I didn't want to pass him up, even though I had Jerry Judy. It's one of those things. And hey, you never know. Somebody gets hurt, and then all of a sudden we got to go. Nick Chubb goes off the board. Love Nick Chubb this year. Again, he says he's healthy, and I believe him. And he was never going to be healthy last year. So I tell you, when you're going on a hero running back team and you're putting together a room of running back 2s, I think Nick Chubb is a great choice. He's still 29. Mixon's already hurt. And if Chubb really, as he says, has the agility back, the strength back, and he's back to his old form, then why not Nick Chubb? Why not? Can he not be a great running back? Again, he doesn't have a overly crazy workload for his career. Now, a lot of it's because he's missed time with injury, but there are a lot of years where Cleveland didn't overwork him either. So that said, I think Nick Chubb this late makes us Jared Goff to team 5 to pair with Baker Mayfield. And this draft has been a little slower than others in terms of getting second quarterbacks. I could have probably waited to go another round, maybe on 8 and 10. But again, you're in these tournaments and you want to make sure you get your position, and you can't really know when people are going to make that move. So, and exactly, Chad, the quarterback run it's been very interesting the way they've gone. And I said it earlier, like every draft is a snowflake, and this definitely has been one of those snowflakes that is far from typical, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different people, different approaches, and it just kind of intersects with, your overall draft. Rachaad White went off the board to team 3 as a 4th running back to go with Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker. So a nice 4th piece there. And teams that waited on quarterback, let's see, we had team 11, and team 11, as we said earlier, they went with that stack of McBride, Harris, and Murray. Team 10 waited super late on quarterback to get Caleb Williams in the 10th round. If the Bears offense clicks, that'd be a phenomenal pick. And Austin Eckler off the board. We're in the 11th round here. Over at Rotowire. So you can get all my daily stuff on the X at Jim Coventry NFL, daily threads, daily stats of the day, my links to my videos. I have a face for radio, but is what it is. Got to do videos too. I love doing them. So, but you can just put, you can like turn the screen off and just listen to the volume. Maybe that's better. Anyway, my articles are behind the paywall at Rotowire. So if you're interested in Rotowire, we revamped the site. Our mock draft simulator, we really upgraded that. Our draft assistant, you can link your league depending on a lot of different formats. You can link your league. Our draft assistant gives you like notes as you're drafting. It's a really, really beautiful tool. Also, like I said, my articles are behind the paywall there. If you're interested in the Rotowire subscription, I can get you 15% off. You go to rotowire.com. You use the code YouTube15 at checkout, and you're all set there. Now, NFFC, I'm doing another one of these drafts 2 weeks from the night. If you've never drafted an NFFC league and you want to play in the high stakes, get you $100 off your first entry. You need to use the code when you check your team out is first time 100, no spaces, one word, first time 100. NFFC is giving you $100 off your first team. Would love if it was a draft with me. And the link to that draft, if you go to my X at Jim Coventry NFL, I posted it right before this draft, so you can check that out, and love to see you there. I'd love to draft against you and talk about your team as we're drafting through here. Brock Purdy's off the board. Chad Tillman really needs, I know. He needs a quarterback, and there's no question. And we don't know if we're getting a quarterback in Cleveland, so we'll see what happens with that. Go, Joe. I love Flacco. All right. So at the 11-12 turn, team 1 with Austin Eckler and Najee Harris. Again, very good depth. I think that if Najee Harris, it sounds like the injury to his eye will be okay, not right away, but over a little time. And I know that the talk, rightfully so, is Marion Hampton is getting more reps in camp, and maybe that means he's going to separate himself, and that certainly may be the case. I wouldn't argue with that for a minute. But all that said, I do think Harris is going to be a part of this backfield. I know they want to run the ball a lot, and look, their games are going to trail, and they may get scripted out, but I think Najee Harris has to have a role in this thing. I have to think he's part of their solution. All right, let me look at my board here and see what we're going to do with here. Send it out there. Oh, that's just wrong. Brandon Ayuk on deck. All right, let's take a look here. All right. Take a look there, maybe. Okay. Brandon Ayuk goes out, and that's good value on Ayuk in the 12th round. We don't know what his injuries look like. Like I said earlier, Dr. David Chow said if we see anything like the way he's supposed to be, it might be the second half of the season. All right, so if I get a disaster at receiver, and I'm not that deep there, I definitely want to pile up some PPR points, and it's possible that we could even see a little bit of an expanded role from Wan'Dale Robinson, but I know he had 140 targets last year. Even if he gets 100 as a depth piece, I like Wan'Dale Robinson at this point in the draft. He's a floor play, and look, Russell Wilson's nothing special, but it might be better than the Danny DeVito and company they had last year, so we'll see what goes there. But again, in a PPR league, when you're playing depth as your wide receiver 5, Wan'Dale Robinson's fine for that purpose. He's not the guy that's going to get you to 0 or to 20. He's more the guy's going to get you to, the 6 or the 9. But sometimes the 6 or the 9 is part of just navigating bye weeks and things like that. Trey Harris off the board goes in the 12th round. Wide receiver room for Team 9. Brian Thomas, T. Higgins, Chris Olave, and then Darnell Mooney and Trey Harris for depth. We see Braylon Allen, a lot of good backup running backs going off the board right now. Drake, quarterback run did start here. So we started in so Caleb Williams at the end of the 10th. And then we really started on the end of the 11th. End of the 11th, we had Goff, then into the early 12th, Purdy, Justin Herbert, and then Drake May. So we definitely have that. Yeah, and Chad, I'm going to talk about, put that up there later, because if that player gets drafted, I want to say something about that, because I'm holding off on that on purpose. But yeah, I definitely want you to bring it up again. Hollywood Brown, man, how that's fallen, right? Last year, I was thinking Hollywood Brown, 6th round pick. He's going to be great with Patrick Mahomes, and then he sternoclavicular injury and didn't play much of the season at all. But Hollywood Brown's fallen to the end of the 12th round, and man, if they do give him that role they wanted to have now, we'll see what happens with both Xavier Worthy and eventually Rashi Rice, assuming he misses. I don't know if he will or won't. Who knows with the NFL, right? But yeah, Brown, the 12th, is a very, very intriguing pick. Bashal Tootin goes, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scadaboo, Isaac Garendo, Braylon Allen, Bashal Tootin. And like I said earlier, we see the collection of running backs going, which is very smart. Kyle Williams goes to Team 10. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Team 9 is going to be on the board, just having taken Mixon, ETN, and Bigsby in the 8th through 10th, and coming back with Darnell Mooney, Trey Harris in the 11th and 12th. Very balanced team. We got 5 running backs, 5 receivers there to go with Hawkinson and Jaden Daniels. Dylan Sampson gets added there, and Team 8 is on the clock now. All right. So Team 8 has Dalton Kincaid and Tyler Warren in the last 4 picks at tight end, Josh Allen at quarterback, receiver room of Malik Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalil Shakir, Matthew Golden, and Luther Burden. Running back room addressed it fairly middling in the 4th through 6th rounds. and then adds Jordan Love. All right, so many of the running backs are going, and it's probably, oh my gosh, another Cleveland Brown. Don't do it, Jim. Don't do it. Don't do it. Did it too late. I don't know if Judkins going to play. I really wonder if the team, what's going to happen at this point. The fact he hasn't signed, the fact the team is probably not wanting to go through another player character thing. I know the Watson one wasn't there, but they signed him. They traded for him and all that good stuff. So I really wonder what they're going to do with Judkins. But this is a pick just saying, well, if they can't work with Judkins, then Ford's going to be a factor here. And if not, I'll drop him. I'll pick somebody else up. Joshua Palmer goes in the mid 13th as the wide receiver 6 to team 6. Kyle Pitts. The talk is every year up on him again, and we'll see if Kyle Pitts can get things going here in Atlanta. But really, the numbers have been down 3 straight years. But, what the heck? At this point in the draft, right? You're taking him probably tight end 15-ish. So at this point, a lot less risk than there used to be. So if he doesn't pan out, hit the waiver. You got Sam Laporta anyway, right? So team 5's fine with that. Dallas Goedert, the paired up with Mark Andrews as a second tight end for team 4. So now we're seeing so basically it's been rounds 11, 12, and 13 where we're seeing a number of teams address their second quarterback and their second tight end. As I said earlier, every draft is a snowflake. I've seen a lot of drafts where players are going earlier. It's stagnated a little bit later in this one. Then that's why you can't only trust ADP because, again, the personality of a draft always going to be different. Brock Purdy, J.J. McCarthy back-to-back to team 2 with their 12th and 13th round picks. So now we see a good number of teams with 2 quarterbacks. Team 12 is just obviously playing with Lamar Jackson, saying we're good there. Team 11, Kyler Murray alone in the triple stack. Team 10 went with a duo of Caleb Williams and Drake May. I like that. It's a very nice duo. Team 9 is cool with Jaden Daniels, and maybe you're not adding another one. Josh Allen, the team 8, go with Jordan Love, but super late, so not a bad investment. I went with Prescott and Justin Fields. Team 5, Jalen Hurts, and again, because you went high on the quarterback, you don't need to take that second one. So teams are kind of playing that wise. Team 5, Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff. That's a nice pairing. Take a couple looks here real quick. All right, and then team 4, little Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Team 3, Bo Nix and Trevor Lawrence. Team 2, Brock Purdy and J.J. McCarthy. And again, so most of the teams that invested high in a quarterback didn't take the second one. Yeah, Chad's got a comment right about a player that's still on the board. All right, let's see here. I am on deck. Yes, I understand. Brenton Strange. All right. We are kind of at that point in the draft, aren't we?
You are up.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that twice. I must have 2 draft rooms open. That's probably what my thing is. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I don't like a lot of the names on the board, and I don't want to get this player taken from me because I think even though they're saying he won, I think he's going to be a factor. Oh, draft is paused. Oops. All right, so that's the thing. Oh, when I heard that double click, it's not me. I'm thinking because I'm – all right, so let me wait till I'm on the clock, it looks like. Yes, I get that. All right, so I do like to take Keaton Mitchell, and I know Todd Monken made the comment of saying he's have to work to get touches. Remember, Derrick Henry plays about half the snaps, and I get it. John Harbaugh loves Justice Hill. But if Keaton Mitchell, as both Harbaugh and Mitchell said, if Mitchell is back to his pre-injury speed, it's going to be really difficult to keep him off the field for 5 to 8 touches a game. Because when you're going in with Derrick Henry as the lead and the super speed of Mitchell as a backup, it's going to be really hard to put that genie back in the bottle for a few carries a game because defense are going to be spinning with the difference in speed between those two. So anyway, it's a late pick. But again, with me only having 4 running backs at that point before that draft, and the running back pool is very, very lean to say the least, I just need to make that move to make sure I got a player I like who, again, and I don't want the big dog to miss time, understand that. But if the big dog, Derrick Henry, were to miss time, then that would be one of those picks that would be very, very useful. All right. So we are at the end of Keenan Allen. So yes, so Keenan Allen goes. And at the end of the 14th, and with DeAndre Hopkins, a team 12. The news came out today that we were going to have Keenan Allen has interest, and there's mutual interest from the Chargers. And if that's the case, I'm worried for Ladd McConkey because McConkey is going to be volume driven. And Keenan Allen is, you saw it in Chicago last year with Rome Odunze. Keenan Allen is a reliable player. He may have lost a lot, but Justin Herbert has a great history with him. And even if it's 3 targets a game, 4 targets a game, he runs routes in the same place of the field that Ladd McConkey runs them. And so I am very, very concerned about that.
You are on deck.
All right, let's see here. I can wait a little bit there. Yeah, okay. All right, the Dallas Cowboys kicker goes there, and it's a team kicker, so those aren't sure of that. NFFC Rotowire Online Championship, 250,000 grand prize. Hope everybody's enjoying the draft coverage here. We've got 12 great teams drafting. Love the differing strategies every draft has. I'm picking in the 7th spot here. We had 3rd round reversal. It's 6 points per passing touchdown for a quarterback. This is a managed league. This is not best ball. So the full waivers and fab. So we have that. Remember, 2 weeks from the night, August 15th, same time, 8 Eastern. I'm drafting again. We're going to do the same stream. If you want to join that draft, if you've never drafted NFFC before, the link to the league is on my X at Jim Coventry NFL. And I'm on the clock, so hang on a minute. You know what? I'm going to play the backup running game here a little bit too, and I think I'm going to give me 6 running backs. So I am going to make my move for DJ Giddens. Jonathan Taylor does have a pretty lengthy injury history. I'm not worried about Khalil Herbert. I did like DJ Giddens coming out of the draft. I was hoping he would land in a more favorable situation, but hey, if Taylor misses time, it would be a real favorable situation. That's what we're all taking, these backup running backs, to see if something works. Did he get picked? Did he get Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt got picked in the end of the 14th, as I was blabbing a bit here. He's catching definitely some buzz in Commanders camp, and Brian Robinson hasn't always been the most impressive running back. And when we look at that, well, it may be a chance where if Krosky-Merritt flashes, or if we get a little dinged up Brian Robinson, Krosky-Merritt could become a little something there, yeah, for sure. But yeah, back to the Keenan Allen thing we were talking about. I do worry about the other receivers because he was super reliable for Justin Herbert, so we'll see about that as well. I was talking, though, about the draft. So 2 weeks from tonight, if you want to draft with me in the same form where we're streaming it out, if you go to the NFL, play NFFC.com, but you can also get the link directly to the draft on my X at Jim Coventry NFL. If your first draft ever with this, you use the code FIRSTTIME100, no spaces, all one word, FIRSTTIME100, and we'll get you $100 off. That's Tom and Greg on the NFFC have run a special promotion. It's a great one to take advantage of, and you can still play for that $250,000, and you can play for $250 instead of $350 to get in. So it's a great, great value, and this offer doesn't come along, so take advantage of that. All right, Chad, what do you got here? You get down on Stroud being the, I know. Oh, so yeah, the thing with CJ Stroud is we knew he was phenomenal as a rookie, and we were rightfully very excited. Pittsburgh Steelers defense off the board here. So when we looked at Stroud, I was out on him last year. And why? I told everybody, and people thought I was nuts. As a rookie, they were playing fullbacks on the field. They were using that 49ers and Miami Dolphins, the Bobby Slowick offense. They were using the base of it, and it was fullbacks. So defense, when you have a fullback on the field, they usually won't play too high. They'll bring a safety down. And so the depth of passing target for those teams, the 49ers, even the Ravens did it, and the Dolphins, they were at the top of the league. Well, CJ Stroud benefited from that rookie, and he was up there in the top of the league in average depth of pass because the safety was down and he was lighting it up. Well, last year they cut the fullbacks, and I said, well, I'm out on Stroud because Stroud's going to see nothing but a diet of 2 high safeties now, and it's going to be a bad situation because he's not going to have seen this, and it's exactly what happened. But now, why am I back in on Stroud? Knowing that he doesn't have the fullbacks, doesn't matter now. Stroud, the league adjusted to Stroud. Stroud's a really good quarterback, but Stroud now makes his adjustment to the league, and I believe he's a star quarterback. So he's falling at quarterback 20 in these drafts, and I don't get it. we were drafting his quarterback 6 last year, and he won't be quarterback 6 this year, but he should be real close to quarterback 12. If you're drafting a second quarterback, like I said, I went for the sky as the limit with Justin Fields, but believe me, just CJ Stroud was on my short list. If I missed one of those guys I wanted, it was CJ Stroud right next. He is that. All right. Raheem Mostert, Roshan Johnson at the turn. Again, more backup running back collection. Chase Brown gets backed up by Taj Brooks. Real slick move by team 2. Very nice. Cam Ward is a third quarterback to team 16. And all right, I'm going to check something real quick here. Okay, I think I know what I want to do with that next pick. We are in the 16th round. Adam Thielen off the board. In that last pick, another Panther, Rico Dowdle. I was mentioning the other day, I'm thinking, so Chuba Hubbard, obviously, a lot of us like him, and he goes around running back 20, and I get it, and it makes sense. He had a great year last year. But I know the team had mentioned they really don't want to give him all that work. Nobody wants to give a running back who's not like Superman that kind of workload. But they bring in Dowdle, and Dowdle arguably had a better second half of the season in Dallas. Kareem Hunt off the board here. And they draft Trevor Etienne. And so, but people are thinking, oh, well, nobody's really dinging in that workload. I'm on the clock here. All right. All right, so my pick here is going to be a defense, and it's going to be funny because the defense I'm drafting, as I'm going to change my mind about this pick right now, which I'm going to do it. I'm changing my mind. I think so. So I do think the Texans have a dominant defense. I think they have the top pass rushers. Will Anderson's amazing. Danielle Hunter's still playing at a high level. I believe their coverage skills are great. They do the things that you need to do to wreck a game. Last year, they got pressure a lot, but they couldn't convert it into the big plays. I think this is a year I clicked the wrong team. I clicked the 49ers accidentally, which is fine. All right, so the 49ers. That was a team I was going to switch my mind on, but it works out. The 49ers don't have a ton of talent on defense, but they have the easiest schedule in the league. They have a week 14 bye. So what ends up happening there is now I don't have to stream a defense for a long time. And their schedule is so easy. Their toughest games, they got a Tampa, they got a Houston, Rams a couple times. It's not to the point where I have to like cut them on those weeks. So the schedule is ridiculously easy. So it's a team I don't have to really worry about. So I can just go ahead and do that. Vikings off the board. All right, let's see what we got here. Looking at the end of 16th round, De'Ami Brown. Love De'Ami Brown going at the end of the 16th round. In Jacksonville, they both play 3 receivers a lot. De'Ami Brown had a really good NFL playoffs last year. I was really happy to see that. And so that said, and Anthony Richardson, very, very smooth pick as a second quarter of Team 11. Look, running quarterbacks, right? If he gets the job, you play him because running quarterbacks, they're gold. All right, let's see what I got here. I have only 4 picks left. All right, let me see here. I'm going to put some depth in the wide receiver room with Darius Slayton. Slayton has 3 700-yard seasons. Jody, that's funny. I was like I said, I actually switched back. I actually forgot to switch back on the Texans on that last one, but I was happy with the 49ers. The Week 14 bye is big. So I do have the Texans in a number of leagues. I do love them. So you got to yourself a great defense there. And their schedule is not bad either. And you'll have to, you already got the Ravens, so you're fine there. So you can go back and forth and pivot those two. So that's great. That'll work out real well. All right, let's see here. Got 3 picks left. One of those has to be a kicker, of course. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, give me a second here. Oh, yeah. Oh, the kicker. All right, there we go. The kicker page. I see that. Okay, good. I just look at a couple things over. Okay, so Mason Taylor. Oh, I love the 3 tight end approach by Team 6. Punted the position, but goes Brenton Strange, Elijah Arroyo, and Mason Taylor in rounds 14, 16, and 17. Taylor drafted as a pure pass catcher. Could be the second pass catcher on the team, right? Because I'm not thinking Josh Reynolds is doing a whole lot or Alan Lazar. Arroyo, playmaker, second-round draft pick, an offense. Like I said, if Cooper Kupp is washed, Arroyo could be like a second pass catcher. And Brenton Strange, a little more crowded with good receivers on that team, but certainly showed flashes there. So I really taking those 3 tight ends and end up with a real good chance of at least one of them becoming the guy. And then I also like team 2. Go with Colson again, punt the position really. Go with Colson Loveland, take the movable chess piece and see if he can pan out big. But then come back with Chigakonkwo, who hasn't had a big season yet. But I don't think we give up on Chigakonkwo because he really hasn't had good quarterback play. And with Cam Ward, he is another one, like I said, with Arroyo and Mason Taylor. Okonkwo could be the second receiver on that team. It's Calvin Ridley, and I'm really not buying anybody else in the Tennessee receiving room. And could somebody emerge? Sure. But Okonkwo can play. He is a good player. He just hasn't had the right opportunity. Bryce Young goes as a third quarterback to team 2. Washington Commanders kicker Justice Hill goes we are in the 18th round. All right, let's see what else we got here. Getting into the end game here. Lean pickings here. See what else we got rolling. Just taking a look at my draft. I'm up in 3 picks here. All right, there's a couple of players I got my eyes on. Marshawn Lloyd goes backing up Josh Jacobs, team 5. So an opportunity to get Lloyd very, very late. He's hurt again, but hopefully it's just short term. Last year was a complete wash. He was coming back from the severe, I believe, hamstring injury, if I remember right. And then he got appendicitis. You know what? I'm going to take a second defense. I really didn't want to do that, but I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Detroit Lions. That pass rush, those corners, they have a tough schedule, but I'll get that. And then actually now I can play matchups a little bit. And I clicked the wrong one again. Just shoot me. Commish, can you undo that one? Let's see if Commish can undo that one. Oh, thanks, Billy. Oh, the admin for help. Yeah, contact admin. Thanks. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, if it wasn't streaming, I could have gotten that a little more flawlessly. Thank you for helping out. Appreciate the teammates in the room. All right, Jalen Knoll goes off the board. Again, another nice pick, a late game pick. Jalen Knoll, 3rd round pick. Could definitely work out here. All right, and then I think they got me. Thank you, Commish. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, everybody who helped me out. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Devin Neal goes. We'll see if Devin Neal, draft pick of New Orleans, if Alvin Kamara's on a different team. But hey, Kamara's 30 right now, gets a ton of volume. The efficiency numbers have been low for Kamara over 2 years. It doesn't matter. He piles up the fantasy points. You draft Kamara with ease. But hey, you know what? At 30, you could see a decline. And if that happens, Devin Neal could be in line for some serious workload. All right, let's see what we got here. 2 picks left. All right, let's see what we do here. All right. Lions kicker, love that call. High scoring team. Very nice there. All right, and Dallas Cowboys defense off the board. Hopefully Micah Parsons gets things figured out. I was talking on the I was on the VSiN TV show today, and we were talking about Micah Parsons, and I said, you know what? Sometimes it's business. I get it, but these are human beings, and I really, thought that, Micah Parsons is probably hurt by some of the things that the organization has said, and that makes sense. I would be hurt too. You play out your guts for a team, and I know it's business. I get it, and I understand, but I think that's frustrating. Chad Gesicki off the board. I'm concerned about the new competition. You know what? I thought about that, and at first I'm thinking, I think Gesicki is better than the new guy. Gesicki's like, all right, real quick here. I'm going kicker, which is I don't play kicker in many leagues. Let me make sure I click on the right player this time. All right. I'm going to go with the Broncos. Week 12 bye. I don't have to stream them for a while, and I assume the team's going to score points, so I'll just leave it at that. So back to about Gesicki. Yeah, I'm not concerned. I think he's better than the other guy. I think he's a really, really good slot receiver, if used that way. And I think when they chose to go to him last year, he probably earned their confidence. I just know that the Bengals like to have a lot of tight ends. Eric All, I don't know. He was getting involved a little bit too, and he had that serious injury. I don't know how he's coming along from that. They've always they've used like 4 tight ends at a time. So different plays. So I do think it's an organizational thing. But right now, and especially it's still Gesicki going late, I think he's okay. And that's just my personal thought on it. All right, we're nearing the 1920 turn. We're only an hour into this draft, but of course, we have some great drafters who know exactly who they want. Again, we go back to the early parts of this draft. We saw the first round. We saw it go 5 receivers. We had Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, 1 3 5. Then Neighbors, 8. Nico Collins, 11. The running backs went a little heavy in the back half of the first round. We had Bijan Robinson at 2, Gibbs at 4, and then 6 7. Barkley, I took Genty, 9 and 10. McCaffrey and Achane. Derrick Henry went 12th. When in terms of the quarterbacks going, we saw Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in the 3rd. Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels in the 5th, and that's in the 4th round. And that's very typical. And then a round break before Mahomes, and then another round plus break till more players got taken there. Jody, appreciate you hanging out here. Let's talk about your team, Jody. You got team 8. Let me make my last pick here and say Amari Cooper off the board. All right, let's go to all here. All right. All right, let's see. Oh, type the right one here. All right, let's see here. All right. I'm going to take a flyer on Cam Akers. I do think that him being signed in New Orleans, if we were to see missed time from Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers, back from 2 Achilles, had an 80th percentile broken tackle rate, and it was even higher yards after contact. It was a low sample size, but he looks like he can still play. All right. Jody, thanks for joining. Jody, your team. Let's look at Jody's team here. So Jody started out Neighbors, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then attacked the quarterback position with Josh Allen, came back with a nice trio of running backs, James Cook, Travion Henderson, and David Montgomery. So kind of covered that up very quickly. And then wait for this to come off the screen. Chad, Amari Cooper in the last round makes me feel old. If he signs somewhere in this late round, he could become something. So anyway, so I see, Jody, you went back then, Khalil Shakir, Matthew Golden, so give you a 3-4 pairing, Luther Burden and Demario Douglas. So you ended up with 6 receivers there, and you definitely got your guys a little bit earlier. So I like that how you got the guys you wanted. You didn't need to take the darts late. Tight end, I always think doubling up is a good idea, and you went Tyler Warren in the 9th, Dalton Kincaid in the 12th. And I think, again, that's a good pairing there because between the two, you'll find out which one works a little bit better. Randy, appreciate you being here. Go Team 7 and everyone. Yeah, definitely, right? Definitely want to say that. And then looking at the rest of your team, let's see here. Quarterback, I like Josh Allen. And then you did go with a second quarterback, but I think the point in the 13th round at that point, a lot of times people wait later. I think that was smart doing that. So real nice team, Jody. Let me see if there's any other particular things I want to point out. I do point out that the 13th and 14th pick, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride went, and then we had a almost 2.5 round, maybe. I can't count with the 3rd round reversal. Can't tell you how long it was. It was a full round in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It was a long, and in the 5th round, Kittle went. So yeah, so it was nice little gap to Kittle, and then it wasn't that long of a gap to Sam Laporta, and then Hockenson, and then that little run of tight ends. So, and you're going to see this a lot in drafts. You're going to see that run of Kelsey, Ingram, Andrews, and Njoku. Even Warren's going to be in that mix. So you're going to see that commonly in a lot of drafts. With the quarterbacks, I think once the tier of 5 went, I think they like dripped in. I think we didn't really get the big run until like the 11th round when the backups were going. The quarterbacks just kind of like popped off the board a little here and there. And I've seen the quarterback activity a little heavier in a lot of drafts. So I was kind of being preemptive when I went with Prescott in the 7th and Fields in the 9th. But I'm not upset with that. Not upset at all with that, because like I said, Prescott's great when he's healthy, but he has an injury history, and Fields is kind of the same. So I think in one of these things, again, like I say, we're playing for $250,000. If I lose a quarterback to injury, I don't want to end up having somebody that is going to just be blah or some waiver wire guy. So I'm okay if I'm waiting on quarterback pairing that up. Outside of that, outstanding draft, everybody. I think all these teams, I like the way Team 12 addressed wide receiver heavy after the first 3 picks. I think it was a great way to like balance the rosters out. I think we can learn a lot from the different draft styles, and you could see how different teams approach. Team 1 went hero running back, Saquon in the first, and then they hit 5 receivers in their next 6 picks with a Jalen Hurts while getting that Barkley, AJ Brown, Hurts triple, and then coming back strong when when you're building a hero running back. Team 6 did it right, because then they come back with 5 straight running backs: Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Tyjae Spears, Nick Chubb, Jalen Wright. All, if their starting running back goes down, move in a significant work. So they took 5 darts trying to cobble together at least a running back 2, and maybe they get multiple tickets, or maybe it's on and off throughout the season. That is the way to play your hero running back perfectly. You again, receivers are just, and then what do you give? You punt tight end. But I said earlier, the punt to tight end that Team 6 used, it was brilliant, because they went with like Arroyo and Taylor, 2 rookies. One of them, I mean, either of them could be the number 2 receiver on their team. Strange looked good last year in his opportunity he was given when Evan Ingram missed some time. I like the way there, and I like going with C.J. Stroud, because Hurts misses a couple games a year. C.J. Stroud is a great value. And then obviously taking the kickers and defenses last. So I really think Team 6, if you're looking for to go with that hero running back approach, I think we really could learn from that. We really didn't have any complete like zero wide. Where it was like crazy wide receiver full. It was 3 for Team 1 and 3 for Team 3. That's a fairly ordinary build. There's nothing abnormal about that. So there were no teams that like went completely all out on wide receivers in the first number of rounds. Team 11 went McBride and Kittle in rounds 2 and 5. I do see some teams going with the 2 tight end build. Of course, you're going for using one in your flex. And so if I guess at that point, the decision is, so if Team 11 believes that Kittle was going to be more productive than Jalen Waddle, Alvin Kamara, all these players, James Conner, Zay Flowers, because realistically, as a flex, any of these other players, regardless if he had a running back 1 or 2 or not, could have been a flex as well. So I think we're trading points. But if you believe George Kittle's outscoring all those guys as your second end, then I think you put him in. If you're doing the math and you're thinking, well, I'm pretty sure these other guys are outscoring Kittle, then you got to rethink that. But that's what I'm telling you to do. Team 11 had their decision, and they made what they felt was best, and I'm sure it'll work for them. Now, I also like Team 11, what they did here. They went 0 running back. They went 5 picks, 6 picks, right? Collins, McBride, Harrison, Pickens, Kittle, Samuel. No running backs. And then, they came back and pounded. Caleb Johnson and Cam Scadaboo have a good chance of being the 1A in their backfield. So if you're going to go 0 running back, I think you can get a couple 1As to start. I think that's a useful place to go. And then, again, like every other team that was moving this, you get those number 2 running backs. Garendo, Braylon Allen, Bashal Tutin, Krosky Merritt, Brashard Smith. And if you notice, they're all running backs from somebody else's team, because you're taking the chance that if your guys stay healthy and somebody else gets an injury, you get an extra starting caliber player in your lineup. And so we see a lot of that, whereas other people prefer to do the handcuff. Now, the handcuff that we like was Team 2. Chase Brown in round 2. They went to the 16th round, and they got their own guy, Taj Brooks. Now, will Taj Brooks be the only game in town? Maybe not. But because I'm Samaje Perine can be up, but still, Brooks will get work most likely. We don't know what the 6th round pick will be like, but it's a nice pick as a very inexpensive handcuff type player. All right, everybody. Hopefully you're having a good Friday night. I appreciate hanging out. Make a couple announcements. Remember, I'm drafting 2 weeks from tonight, August 15th, same time. If you've never drafted NFFC, if you want to get in that league and get $100 off, so instead of $350, it'll cost you $250. If you've never been in it, you go to my X at Jim Coventry NFL. I have the link to the league posted. When you go to sign up and all that good stuff, and you go to the checkout, you use the code FIRSTTIME100. It's all one word, no spaces. Get you 100 off your first NFFC team. Love to have you here. You'd be in this league just like tonight. We'll talk through all the teams and have fun as we're doing this. This is the Rotowire Online Championship, $250,000 grand prize. Remember, I'm my ex at Jim Coventry NFL. Every day I give you a thread of the day, a stat of the day, my videos. I get face for radio. Sorry, can't help that. But definitely can catch video content where I'm having stuff from Rotowire that they video edit for me. They're wonderful. They do that for me over there. If you're interested in Rotowire's subscription site, my articles there, 3-4 a week are dropped there. We have an amazing upgrade on our mock draft tool, our draft simulator, where our draft assistant, I should say, where you can import many different leagues from different platforms in there, and you can have the site work with you in real time. It's an amazing tool. Anyway, if you want Rotowire, you go there, go to rotowire.com, pick a subscription. I'll get you 15% off. Use the code YouTube15 there. Outside of that, everybody, catch you all over the internet. Have a good night, and back here in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody.